Oppenheimer is the latest film from writer and director Christopher Nolan, and the story is a biopic about J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb during World War II, who then became known as the father of the atomic bomb. Christopher Nolan is one of my favourite filmmakers, and this was definitely one of my most anticipated films of 2023. Nolan is someone who shoots on film, IMAX film, he uses practical effects and very little CGI, and apparently Oppenheimer has literally no CGI at all, which is crazy. In addition, he shoots on real locations, he likes to present his films in a non-linear direction, he creates character studies and is a filmmaker who creates size and scale for the big screen only. And I love his style in filmmaking, and I can completely understand why it's not everyone's cup of tea. But I was curious to see how he was going to capture his first biopic film of J. Robert Oppenheimer. And I was blown away by this, and it is sometimes epic, but most importantly this is a haunting and phenomenal character study piece. And I would say this is one of Christopher Nolan's best films. Now with Oppenheimer, I think there are going to be a lot of people who are going to predict that this film is just about making the bomb and then a big explosion for the finale, and then that is the end of the film, and thinking this is just going to be full of action and your typical war film. This is, as I mentioned, a character study film about J. Robert Oppenheimer, showing him as a physicist and his family life, and then of course the progress, challenges and the Trinity tests Oppenheimer experienced during the Manhattan Project. But really this is mostly about the aftermath of the Manhattan Project and how this creation affected Oppenheimer unexpectedly from his believable perspective. This shows this film's excellent understanding of the themes about stress, trauma, under pressure, manipulation, and being perceived by others as someone you can or cannot trust. Also with fear and the fear of the unknown for the future of what holds when it comes to nuclear weapons and power. Finally, the realisation of what has been done cannot be undone. It delivers very well from this film's script, and that carries the weight from the incredible lead performance by Cillian Murphy. Now this is definitely an Oscar-worthy performance, and I really do hope he does get nominated for an Oscar. And in my opinion, this is the best of his career. I mean, it's Cillian Murphy. He is like another version of Willem Dafoe and Joaquin Phoenix, where if you put him in any role, he will definitely deliver something unforgettable and powerful. From Cillian Murphy in this, I would say, is the look of passion and then fear in his eyes. I found that look of emotions to be again believable and understandable of why he's feeling like this. The rest of this film's cast is packed, it is huge and crazy, and if you go in Oppenheimer pretty blind of who's going to be in it, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. To name the full supporting cast, and some definitely did deliver some Oscar-worthy performances as well. Emily Blunt was extraordinary in this. I mean, she always is. But like Murphy, I think this is the best of her career, and I felt like she delivered some of the most dramatic and plausible scenes in the film. Robert Downey Jr. steals all of his scenes in this film, and to be honest with you, I think I haven't enjoyed a performance from him since David Fincher's Zodiac. Apologies to the MCU fans. Florence Pugh, who has a minor role in this, was marvellous as always, and Matt Damon, who delivered some very funny and over-the-top moments. Now there are other cast members in this film who I'm going to try and name some of them. I haven't got all of them here, but I will try my best, so get ready. And some of them do have pretty big and like minor roles, like some literally are in for like one scene of the film. We have got Alden Ehrenreich, Benny Safdie, Josh Hartnett, Jason Clarke, David Krumholtz, Alex Wolff, Matthew Modine, Dane DeHaan, Rami Malek, Jack Quaid, Casey Affleck, Gary Oldman, Kenneth Branagh, Josh Peck, as in from Drake and Josh. And we also have Devin Bostick, who played Roderick in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid films. The film is 3 hours long, but it honestly flies by, and I thought the pacing was very well done, because of how the pacing supports the tone to be interesting, exciting and intense. Then after the Trinity test, it becomes very atmospheric and soul-stirring. It is also fast. Oppenheimer is one of those films where once it starts, it will not stop. And there will be moments when you might feel a bit lost and confused from what is happening. It is constantly new information from like every character, and with some heavy dialogue as well. And I do think some people will struggle, so it's best to try and keep up the film. If you do go for a toilet break and then come back and get a recap of what's been going on, you will probably miss so much from just like one scene with two characters. Some will also get bored, and that brings me back to Oppenheimer not just being another action and war film, and more of a character study piece and a bunch of people people talking in rooms. What also makes this film a fast pace is the editing, and because it's a Christopher Nolan film, he likes to make a non-linear presentation. And trust me, this does happen a lot in the film. Oppenheimer does cut back and forth between different time zones and show in colour sequences and then black and white. The colour scenes are known as subjective. The meaning is shown from the first person, who would be Oppenheimer himself, between, before, during the making of the atomic bomb and the aftermath. Then we have the black and white sequences, which are known as objective, and also for the first time IMAX cameras using black and white, which is actually pretty cool. The meaning is shown from another character's perspective, such as Lewis Strauss, played by Robert Downey Jr., and others involved with the case, mostly showing the aftermath of the atomic bomb was made and seeing courtroom scenes discussing the Manhattan Project and Oppenheimer himself. But what I think really works about the editing of this film is when scenes unfold moments that are important from one of the time zones to then cut to the other, and I thought it was executed really well from the timing, and it was so appropriate. How the two time zones connect for the subjects involving Oppenheimer, the Manhattan Project, the government, the army, and other dodgy stuff that happened. I thought Oppenheimer was very well shot by cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema, who captured breathtaking shots of the characters and the locations, the main one being where the Manhattan Project took place in New Mexico, Los Alamos. The Trinity test itself was full of anticipation, and my heart was pumping so much when the countdown went near to 0. The explosion itself was amazing from how it was captured. And I won't give away too much, but it gives you enough time to experience and process something quite striking, instead of it of just being this immediate loud explosion with a loud bang. I absolutely loved the score by composer Ludwig Göransson, who did Nolan's previous film Tenet. It felt very eerie, it is pretty aggressive, very atmospheric, and really emotional. It's presented with a mixture of classical music and familiar Nolan ambient, but worth checking out the full album. My only issue with Oppenheimer is sometimes the sound mixing was a bit odd. Now, Nolan has had this issue before since The Dark Knight Rises, and Tenet was a pretty big one. It's basically when you just watch a scene and you have sound effects and music that is much louder than characters having a conversation. And I even had this problem when the film ended with the final 2 lines. So I do think if you're going to go and see this, or even might want to rewatch it, maybe just check it out on an average 2D screening if you really want to hear what the characters are saying. Or, once the film comes out on physical media, you can just put the subtitles on. But in the end, I loved Oppenheimer. It is one of Nolan's best films, full of Oscar-worthy performances, wonderful camera work and editing. It is a character study that will put you deep in thought about the film's subject matter. I also think this is Nolan's potential of getting an Oscar for Best Director. We shall see. I cannot wait to see this film again. I'm planning seeing it very soon, again in IMAX. And if you're planning to see Oppenheimer, just go in open-minded and don't listen to what people say on the internet about this being a film about a bomb and then explosion, because it is not just a film about that. Based on my Letterboxd rating, I'm going to give Oppenheimer a 5-star out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below about the film. And if you liked what you watched, feel free to subscribe and look out for more videos coming your way.